Welcome to the Deep Dive. Okay, so today we're diving headfirst into some sources you've sent over. Articles, reports, all buzzing about Forbes' latest list. You know, the richest self-made women in America.
Right, and there's one headline that's really grabbing attention.
Exactly. It's about a bit of a shakeup at the top, specifically for the title of the youngest self-made billionaire.
A pretty coveted spot, you could say.
Totally. So our mission here is to kind of walk through these sources with you, figure out who this person is, unpack the story behind, well, this huge wealth figure they're reporting.
Like that's presented in these articles, yeah.
And see what we can actually take away from her journey. The focus today, Lucy Guo. She's 30, an entrepreneur, and the sources are saying she's taken that youngest spot from Taylor Swift.
So these sources, they introduce us to Lucy Guo, confirm she's 30, and peg her net worth somewhere between, let's see, $1.25 and $1.3 billion. That lands her pretty high on that Forbes list.
Which is significant in itself, but the youngest part is the headline.
Precisely. Because, as these articles point out, it means she's now ranked as the youngest self-made woman billionaire. That title, it previously belonged to Taylor Swift. Sources note Swift is 35, ranked 21st now, with about $1.6 billion.
Still huge numbers for Swift, obviously, but Guo's younger. So going back, how did Guo start?
Well, the reports detail her path starting pretty early in tech. She was just, 21 years old when she co-founded Scale AI. That was back in 2016.
An AI company, right when things were really starting to heat up in that space.
Exactly. And here's a crucial detail the sources really emphasize. Even though she left Scale AI in 2018, she kept her stake. About 5%.
Smart move, it turns out.
Very smart. Because the main reason, according to these sources, for this rapid wealth accumulation is Scale AI's valuation. It's reportedly hit $25 billion recently.
Wow. So that 5% stake suddenly becomes a lot.
A lot. Makes it incredibly valuable, at least, on paper.
Right. On paper seems key here.
Yep.
So building on that, the sources fill in a bit more background. Before Scale AI, she was at Carnegie Mellon, studying computer science.
Yeah, but she dropped out, reportedly. Became a Thiel Fellow, Peter Thiel's program.
Okay, interesting path. Then, after leaving Scale AI in 2018, she didn't just, disappear.
No. The articles indicate she launched her own venture capital firm, made some investments, which likely helped her finances grow even more.
And then there's Passes. She founded that in 2022. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Passes. The sources describe it as a platform for online content creators. It often gets compared to services like OnlyFans.
Okay. In terms of how creators can monetize their content.
Right. And Passes seems to have hit the ground running. Reportedly raised $50 million from investors in just its first couple of years.
That's significant funding. And her reaction to hitting billionaire status, I saw that mentioned.
Yeah, via text to Forbes, apparently. She called it a bit wild and then added, all on paper, haha.
Yeah, keeping it real, I guess. It's fascinating how these sources show that wealth translating into assets, but then also describe her daily life.
It is quite the contrast. The reports mention a pretty substantial real estate portfolio over $10 million.
Like that Miami condo.
Exactly. Purchased in 2021 for $6.7 million. Sources note it's a Zaha Hadid design, mentions the pool, helipad, killer views.
Nice. And then more recently, LA.
Yep, 2024, a modern farmhouse in LA for $4.2 million. Apparently, it's near her office. The sources say she splits her time between LA and Miami.
Okay, so that's the high-flying asset side. But the daily routine.
Completely different picture based on these reports. Eating at her desk relies totally on Uber Eats because she doesn't cook.
Really? No cooking at all?
Seems like it. And she reportedly said she never takes a real vacation, works at least 8 hours a day, even when she's supposedly off.
Wow, that's intense. How does she get around?
Sources mention either an electric skateboard or her assistant drives her. So yeah, quite a contrast between the luxury homes and the desk lunches and skateboard commute.
Definitely a striking juxtaposition from these sources. What about her mindset, personality? Taking over from Taylor Swift, for instance.
Well, she reportedly doesn't seem hung up on the ranking itself. Calls herself a proud Swiftie. Apparently met Taylor at Coachella.
Huh.
And more broadly, the sources suggest she's just happy to see more women succeeding in the startup world. Which is, a positive outlook.
And turning 30. I read she posted about that.
She did, yeah. Candid social media posts mentioned in the articles. She apparently had some initial fear about turning 30, linked to, traditional immigrant Chinese cultural pressures about marriage, kids.
Right. Those expectations can be strong.
But then she found she actually felt more confident, more excited, more driven than ever at that point.
Interesting transition. There was that quote, too.
Oh yeah, the quote about aging. And because Asians don't raisin, every year I'm getting richer, ain't hotter.
Huh. Okay, memorable.
Yeah.
What about downtime? Does she have any, based on these reports?
It sounds limited, but yes. The sources mention she's super dedicated to Barry's boot camp, goes twice a day sometimes. Over 3,000 classes, apparently.
Whoa, that's dedication.
And she enjoys music festivals like Coachella, obviously. And reportedly just spent a couple of weeks learning how to DJ. So there are some leisure activities mixed in.
Okay, so pulling it all together from these sources.
Yeah.
What's the big picture?
Well, I think the sources really paint Lucy Guo's story as one of incredibly fast wealth accumulation. It's clearly driven by being early in high-stakes tech-scale AI, especially. Holding on to that stake was key.
And then building passes on top of it.
Right. And all this is presented alongside this really intense, maybe unconventional approach to work and, well, daily life. It's quite a specific combination.
It really is. So this deep dive gives us this snapshot, right, based purely on these sources, of one person's path to, frankly, extreme success in tech today.
Yeah.
Think about everything we've gone through: the startup win, the paper wealth, the fancy real estate, the intense work ethic. What does this glimpse suggest to you about how massive wealth is made now, and maybe what kind of personal trade-offs might come with it?